In the biting cold of the Tibet Plateau, where temperatures plummet to a bone-chilling -75°C, an incredible story of survival unfolded. This is the tale of an 80-year-old grandmother, a fierce blizzard, and the unwavering loyalty of her to Tibetan Mastiffs. Grandma Dolma, a woman whose face was a map of 88 harsh winters, lived a simple life in her remote home. Her only companions were her two magnificent Tibetan Mastiffs, Sang and Droga. To her, they weren't just dogs, they were family, her protectors in this vast, unforgiving landscape. One fateful afternoon, the sky turned a menacing shade of grey. The wind began to howl, and a blizzard, the likes of which hadn't been seen in decades, descended upon the plateau. It was a hellstorm of snow and ice, a white curtain that blinded and disoriented. At that very moment, Grandma Dolma was out tending to her small flock of sheep, a routine task she had performed thousands of times. But this was no ordinary day. The storm hit with a sudden, brutal force. Within minutes, visibility dropped to zero. The wind tore at her clothes, and the snow piled up around her, trapping her. Lost and shivering, with the temperature dropping at an alarming rate, a terrifying thought crossed her mind. This might be the end. The cold was seeping into her bones, her strength fading with every passing second. She collapsed into the snow, the world around her a swirling vortex of white. Back at the house, Sang and Drogo were growing restless. They paced back and forth, their deep growls echoing the storm's fury. They knew something was terribly wrong. Their instincts, honed by generations of guarding the plateau, screamed that their human was in danger. Without a moment's hesitation, they burst out of the house and into the heart of the blizzard. They were two dark shapes against a sea of white on a desperate mission. The wind was a physical force, pushing against them, and the snow was so deep they had to bound through it, but they never faltered. They were driven by a single purpose: find Grandma Dolma. Meanwhile, a new threat emerged from the storm. A pack of hungry wolves, emboldened by the blizzard, had caught the scent of the trapped sheep and the vulnerable human. They were shadows in the snow, their yellow eyes glowing with predatory hunger. They began to circle, closing in on Grandma Dolma, who was now barely conscious. Just as the lead wolf prepared to lunge, two thunderous barks shattered the storm's roar. Sang and Droga had arrived. They didn't hesitate. They threw themselves between the wolves and their grandmother, forming a furry, snarling wall of defiance. Sang, the larger of the two, met the lead wolf head-on. It was a clash of titans, a brutal dance of teeth and claws in the middle of a frozen hell. Droga, equally fierce, took on the rest of the pack, snapping and lunging, keeping them at bay. The air was filled with the sounds of the fight, a chaotic symphony of snarls, yelps, and the relentless howl of the wind. Sang sustained a deep gash on his shoulder, his fur matted with blood, but he refused to back down. He fought with the spirit of a lion, the spirit of the plateau itself. Seeing the unyielding ferocity of the two mastiffs, the wolves, injured and wary, finally retreated back into the storm. They had underestimated the bond between these dogs and their human. Exhausted and wounded, Sang and Droga turned their attention back to Grandma Dolma. They licked her face, their warm breath a small comfort against the freezing cold. They nudged her, trying to wake her up, their whines filled with a desperate urgency. Then, they did something incredible. They lay down on either side of her, pressing their thick, warm bodies against hers, sharing their own body heat in a desperate attempt to stave off the fatal hypothermia. They were her living, breathing blankets, her last line of defense against the deadly cold. Hours passed. The storm raged on, and the three of them remained huddled together, a tiny island of warmth in an ocean of ice. It was this act of pure love and loyalty that kept Grandma Dolma's heart beating through the longest night of her life. When the first rays of morning sun finally broke through the clouds, the storm had passed. The world was blanketed in a pristine, silent layer of white. A search party from the nearby village, led by Grandma Dolma's anxious son, had been looking for her all night. They followed the faint tracks left by the mastiffs, their hopes fading with every step, and then, they saw it, a small mound in the snow. As they got closer, they realized it wasn't just a mound. It was Grandma Dolma, with Sang and Droga still curled tightly around her. She was alive, barely, but alive. The villagers carefully lifted her and rushed her back to the village. The vet was called for the two heroic dogs. Sang's wounds were serious, but he would recover. Both dogs were exhausted, but their spirits were unbroken. Their mission was complete. Grandma Dolma spent several days recovering, warmed by the fire and cared for by her family. But she knew who her true saviors were. The first thing she did when she was strong enough was to go see her dogs. She hugged them, tears streaming down her weathered cheeks, whispering her thanks into their thick fur. The story of Grandma Dolma and her loyal mastiffs spread like wildfire across the plateau. It became a legend, a testament to the incredible bond that can exist between humans and animals. It's a reminder that in the harshest of places, loyalty and love can be the most powerful forces of all. Sang and Drogo weren't just pets, they were heroes. They faced a hellstorm, fought off a wolf pack, and defied the killing cold, all for the love of their grandma. This incredible tale from the roof of the world shows us that courage isn't about the absence of fear, but the strength to protect those you love, no matter the cost. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from around the world. Stay safe and cherish your furry friends.